Vincent Reed had never expected to come to a woman's rescue at a car dealership, but when the slick salesman wouldn't take no for an answer, something in him snapped. Maybe it was the memory of how his late wife had been taken advantage of by pushy salespeople. Or maybe it was just that the woman, despite her expensive watch and subtle air of wealth, looked genuinely distressed behind her composed exterior. "Excuse me," Vincent interrupted, stepping between the aggressive salesman and the woman with the elegant dark hair. "I believe the lady said she needs some time to think. Could you give her some space?" The woman's eyes, a striking shade of hazel, locked with his. Relief washed across her face. The salesman, Brad, according to his name tag, puffed up indignantly. "Sir, I'm in the middle of helping a customer." "Actually," the woman said, her voice carrying a note of authority despite her soft tone, "I was just saying I needed to consider other options." Vincent offered a small smile. "My sister bought from the place across town. Much better deals, no pressure." A complete lie, but the salesman didn't need to know that. "I don't appreciate the interference," Brad said, voice hardening. "Miss Jordan is looking at our premium vehicles." Vincent's 8-year-old daughter, Lily, who had been quietly looking at brochures nearby, moved to her father's side. "Daddy, you said we had that thing to do." Her innocent contribution to his rescue mission made the woman's lips twitch into a smile. "Right," Vincent said, checking his watch. "We should get going." The woman, Miss Jordan, seized the opportunity. "Perhaps I should join you. I'd love to hear about your sister's experience." Before Brad could intervene, they were walking away, Vincent's daughter skipping ahead toward the exit. "Thank you," the woman said once they were outside. "I'm Zara, by the way, Zara Jordan. Vincent Reed, and this is my daughter, Lily." Zara knelt to Lily's level. "Thank you for the rescue, Lily." "You're welcome," Lily beamed. "Daddy says we should always help people when they look stuck." Zara laughed, the sound warm and genuine. "Your daddy is right." She straightened and looked at Vincent with newfound interest. "Can I buy you both coffee as a thank you, or ice cream for this little hero?" Vincent hesitated. This woman clearly came from money. Her tailored suit and the subtle luxury of her accessories told him that much. He, on the other hand, was a carpenter who had been struggling to keep his small business afloat since his wife died 2 years ago, leaving him a single father with mounting medical bills. "Ice cream," Lily exclaimed before he could decline. Zara's eyes sparkled. "Ice cream it is, then." And that was how Vincent Reed, a struggling carpenter and single father, unwittingly entered the orbit of Zara Jordan, who he would soon discover was not just wealthy, but one of the youngest billionaires in the country. "So what brought you to that particular dealership?" Vincent asked as they sat at a small ice cream parlor, Lily happily working her way through a hot fudge sundae. Zara dabbed at the corner of her mouth with a napkin. "I needed to replace my car and I wanted something normal. My assistant usually handles these things, but I thought I'd do it myself for once." She shook her head. "Bad idea, apparently. Not a fan of pushy salesmen, not a fan of people who don't listen when I say no." Something in her tone suggested this was a recurring issue in her life. Vincent nodded. "I get that. After my wife passed, I became very aware of how often people try to push you into things, especially when they think you're vulnerable." Sympathy softened Zara's features. "I'm sorry about your wife. Thank you. It's been 2 years now." "My dad's making me a treehouse," Lily interjected, chocolate sauce smeared on her chin. "Is that so?" Zara turned her attention to the little girl, her interest genuine. "He makes all sorts of things. He's a carpenter." Lily said the word carefully, pronouncing each syllable with pride. "A craftsman," Zara said, looking at Vincent with new appreciation. "That's impressive. I've always admired people who can create with their hands." Vincent felt his cheeks warm slightly. "It's honest work, not as glamorous as what you do, I'm sure." "What do you think I do?" Zara asked, seemingly amused. "Something corporate. Executive level based on that watch and those shoes." Zara laughed. "You have a good eye. I run a tech company, but I promise you most days it's not glamorous at all." They talked easily as Lily finished her ice cream, Vincent surprised by how down-to-earth Zara seemed. She asked thoughtful questions about his carpentry business and listened intently to his answers. When he mentioned the challenges of balancing work with single parenthood, she didn't offer empty platitudes but instead shared stories of her own father, who had raised her alone after her mother left when she was 4. "He worked so hard," she said, a faraway look in her eyes. "Sometimes too hard. But everything he did was for me." "That's the job," Vincent said simply. As they prepared to leave, Zara surprised him by asking for his business card. "I actually need some custom bookshelves for my home office. Your work sounds exactly like what I'm looking for." Vincent handed her one of his simple cards, slightly worn at the edges. "I'd be happy to provide a quote." "I'll be in touch," she promised, slipping the card into her purse. Later that night, after putting Lily to bed, Vincent looked up Zara Jordan online. His jaw dropped as he read article after article about the tech wonderkind who had built a cybersecurity company from scratch and sold it for billions, only to start another venture that was already revolutionizing clean energy storage. The woman he'd rescued from a car salesman was worth more money than he could comprehend, and she wanted him to build her bookshelves. "Daddy, is the rich lady going to be your girlfriend?" Lily asked the next morning as Vincent packed her lunch for school. Vincent nearly dropped the peanut butter jar. "What? No, honey, she might be a client, that's all. But she was pretty and she liked you. She kept looking at you when you were talking." "Lily Reed, you've been watching too many princess movies." Lily gave him a look that was eerily reminiscent of her mother. "I just think you should have friends, Daddy, grown-up friends." Vincent zipped her lunch bag closed. "I have friends. Mr. Dave doesn't count, he's your work friend, and Aunt Clara is family." Vincent couldn't argue with his daughter's logic. The truth was, between running his struggling business and raising Lily, he hadn't had much time for a social life, let alone dating. "Time to go or we'll be late," he said, effectively ending the conversation. 3 days later, Vincent's phone rang with an unknown number. "Reed Woodworking," he answered, wedging the phone between his ear and shoulder as he continued sanding a table edge. "Vincent, it's Zara Jordan." He straightened, nearly dropping his sanding block. "Oh, hello. I didn't expect to hear from you so soon." "I'm a woman who knows what she wants," she replied, and he could hear the smile in her voice. "Are you available to come see my space and discuss those bookshelves, and perhaps a few other pieces I'm thinking about?" Vincent checked his calendar. He had been hoping for more work. Things had been slow lately, and his savings were dwindling. "I could come tomorrow afternoon if that works for you." "Perfect. I'll text you the address." When the address arrived minutes later, Vincent realized she lived in the most exclusive neighborhood in the city. Of course she did. The next day, after dropping Lily at school, he drove his beat-up truck to Zara's home, feeling increasingly out of place as the houses grew larger and more impressive. Her home was modern and sprawling, all glass and clean lines set against a wooded backdrop. Vincent parked his truck beside a sleek black Tesla and took a deep breath before approaching the front door. Zara answered herself, dressed casually in jeans and a simple blouse that probably cost more than his monthly mortgage payment. Her hair was pulled back in a loose ponytail, making her look younger and more approachable than she had at the car dealership. "Vincent, come in." She ushered him inside with a warm smile. "Thanks for coming on such short notice." The interior of her home was stunning but surprisingly warm. Floor-to-ceiling windows showcased the surrounding forest, and the furnishings, while clearly expensive, had a comfortable, lived-in quality. "Beautiful place," Vincent said, taking it all in. "Thank you. I've only been here 6 months, it still doesn't quite feel like home." She led him through to her office, a spacious room with one wall already lined with books. "This is where I'm thinking for the bookshelves, something that matches the existing ones but extends around this wall and that one." She gestured to 2 bare walls. Vincent immediately slipped into professional mode, taking measurements and discussing wood types, finishes, and design options. Zara was knowledgeable and decisive, making the consultation easy. "I'd also like to talk about a custom dining table," she added as they finished in the office. "And maybe a special piece for the entry hall." By the time they had toured the relevant parts of her home, Vincent had enough potential work to keep him busy for months. It would be the largest commission he'd ever received. "I can have detailed sketches and a quote to you by early next week," he said as they returned to the front door. Zara nodded, then seemed to hesitate. This might be unorthodox, but would you and Lily like to come for dinner on Friday? I make a mean lasagna, and I'd love to get your thoughts on some other ideas I have for the house. Vincent was caught off guard. This felt less like a client-contractor relationship and more like something else. You cook, he asked, then immediately felt foolish. I mean, you're surprised a billionaire knows her way around a kitchen. Zara's eyes danced with amusement. I didn't wait, I looked you up. I assumed you would. Most people do, she shrugged. To answer your question, yes, I cook. Not as often as I'd like, but it relaxes me. So dinner, unless you have plans. Vincent thought about his usual Friday night pizza and a movie with Lily, then catching up on paperwork after she went to bed. No plans. Dinner would be nice. Lily will be thrilled. Wonderful. Shall we say 6 o'clock? As Vincent drove away, he couldn't help but wonder what he was getting himself into. This was just business, he told himself. A wealthy client who happened to be friendly, nothing more. But when he picked Lily up from school and told her about the dinner invitation, her reaction made him question his own certainty. It's like Cinderella, she exclaimed. Except you're Cinderella and she's the princess, or I guess she's the prince, but a girl prince. It's not like that at all, Vincent corrected her. Miss Jordan is a potential client who wants to discuss furniture. Lily was undeterred. Can I wear my purple dress, the one with the sparkles? Vincent sighed. Sure, kiddo, the purple dress it is. Friday evening found them standing once again at Zara's front door, Lily resplendent in her favorite dress, Vincent in his best jeans and a button-up shirt he'd ironed twice. This time, the door was opened by a middle-aged woman with a kind face. You must be Vincent and Lily. I'm Mrs. Fletcher, the housekeeper. Come in. Miss Jordan is just finishing up in the kitchen. They followed Mrs. Fletcher through the house to a large, airy kitchen where Zara was sliding a bubbling lasagna from the oven. She looked up and smiled brilliantly. You're here, perfect timing. She set down the dish and removed her oven mitts. Lily, you look absolutely beautiful. I love your dress, Lily beamed. Thank you, Daddy ironed his shirt twice. Vincent felt his face heat up as Zara's gaze moved to him, her eyes twinkling. Well, it shows, very crisp, Mrs. Fletcher discreetly withdrew, and Zara showed them to a cozy dining area adjacent to the kitchen, rather than the formal dining room Vincent had seen during his earlier visit. The table was already set, with a booster seat placed at one of the chairs. I hope this is okay, Zara said, gesturing to the booster. I wasn't sure if Lily would need one. That was thoughtful, Vincent said, genuinely touched that she had considered his daughter's needs. Dinner was surprisingly comfortable. Zara's lasagna was indeed excellent, and she had prepared a side salad and garlic bread that even Lily enjoyed. The conversation flowed easily, moving from Lily's school projects to Vincent's work to Zara's latest tech venture. So why were you really at that car dealership? Vincent asked as they lingered over dessert, a store-bought cheesecake that Zara admitted was her one concession to convenience. I told you, I wanted to buy a car. But why that particular dealership, and why were you there alone? I would think someone in your position would send an assistant or at least bring a car expert with you. Zara sighed and set down her fork. The truth, I was trying to do something normal. Sometimes I get tired of being Zara Jordan, tech billionaire. I wanted to just be a regular person buying a car. She looked at Lily, who was happily decorating her plate with the remaining strawberry sauce. Do you ever feel that way, like you just want to escape your own life for a bit? Vincent thought about it. Sometimes. But usually I'm too busy trying to keep all the plates spinning to think about escape. What would you do if you could escape for a day? Take Lily fishing, he said without hesitation. My dad used to take me. I've been promising her we'd go, but between work and household stuff, I haven't managed it. I've never been fishing, Zara said thoughtfully. Never, Lily looked up, incredulous. Not even once, Zara confirmed. Daddy, we should take Miss Zara fishing with us. Vincent opened his mouth to explain why that wouldn't be appropriate, but Zara spoke first. I would love that, actually, if it wouldn't be an imposition. Their eyes met across the table, and Vincent saw something in hers of vulnerability, a loneliness perhaps that resonated with him. No imposition, he heard himself say. But fair warning, it involves worms, early mornings, and no guarantees of catching anything. Zara's face lit up. Sounds perfect. That was how, a week later, Vincent found himself teaching Zara Jordan, one of the wealthiest women in the country, how to bait a hook at a small lake outside the city. She had shown up in practical clothes, jeans, hiking boots, and a light jacket with a wide-brimmed hat to protect against the morning sun. Lily had taken to Zara immediately, proudly showing off the fishing skills Vincent had taught her during their previous outings. Zara, for her part, was a quick study, listening attentively to Vincent's instructions and celebrating enthusiastically when Lily caught a small sunfish. "Your turn," Vincent said, helping Zara cast her line. He stood close behind her, his hands guiding hers on the rod, suddenly aware of the scent of her shampoo and the way her body fit against his. "Like this?" she asked, turning her head slightly. Their faces were inches apart. "Perfect," he murmured, reluctantly stepping back. As the morning progressed into afternoon, Vincent found himself relaxing in a way he hadn't in years. Zara was easy to be with, laughing at her own mistakes, asking thoughtful questions, treating Lily with genuine interest rather than condescension. When Zara finally caught a fish, a decent-sized bass, that had Lily jumping up and down with excitement, her face shone with a joy so pure that Vincent couldn't help but smile. "I've closed billion-dollar deals that didn't feel as good as this," she admitted, as they released the fish back into the lake. They shared a simple picnic lunch that Vincent had packed, sitting on a blanket by the water's edge. Lily eventually grew tired and curled up for a nap, her head in Vincent's lap. "She's amazing," Zara said softly, watching the little girl sleep. "You're doing a wonderful job with her." "I'm trying," Vincent said. "Some days are harder than others." "I can imagine." "My father did his best, but it couldn't have been easy." She paused. "He died last year, cancer." "I'm sorry," she nodded. "He was proud of my success, but he always worried that I worked too much, that I wasn't living enough." Her eyes met Vincent's. "Days like today make me think he was right." There was something about the moment, the peaceful setting, the sleeping child between them, the honest conversation that made Vincent bold. "Why me?" he asked. "What do you mean? You could hire any carpenter in the city. You could commission furniture from world-renowned artisans. Why are you hiring me? Why are you here with us now?" Zara was quiet for a moment, her gaze turning to the lake. "When you stepped in at that dealership, you weren't trying to impress me. You weren't looking for anything from me. You just saw someone who needed help and you helped." She looked back at him. "Do you know how rare that is in my world? I just did what anyone would do." "No, you didn't. Most people would have minded their own business, or they would have recognized me and seen an opportunity." She reached across Lily to touch his hand. "You and Lily make me feel like a person, not a bank account or a business connection. Do you know how valuable that is?" The warmth of her hand on his sent a current through Vincent's body. It had been so long since he'd felt this kind of connection with someone. "I think I'm beginning to understand," he said. The weeks that followed took on a rhythm. Vincent worked on Zara's bookshelves and dining table during the day, often at her home where she had offered him the use of a spacious garage she had converted into a workshop. Sometimes she would watch him work, asking questions about his process or sharing ideas for other pieces. Weekends increasingly included Zara hiking trips, visits to the Children's Museum with Lily, cooking dinners together at Vincent's modest home. Despite their vastly different financial situations, they found common ground in their experiences of loss, their dedication to their work, and their shared sense of humor. "Daddy likes you," Lily informed Zara matter-of-factly one Sunday afternoon as they were baking cookies in Vincent's kitchen. Vincent, who had just entered the room, froze in mortification. "Lily, it's okay," Zara said, laughter in her eyes. "I like him too, like." Lily pressed, clearly in matchmaker mode. Zara glanced at Vincent, a slight blush coloring her cheeks. "Yes, like." Vincent's heart raced. They hadn't discussed what was happening between them, both seemingly content to let their relationship evolve naturally. But now, with Lily's innocent prodding, they couldn't avoid it. "Lily, why don't you go wash your hands? They're covered in cookie dough," Vincent suggested. Once his daughter had left the room, he approached Zara. "I'm sorry about that. Kids and their questions. Don't apologize." Zara turned to face him, flour dusting her cheek. I meant what I said. Vincent reached out and gently brushed the flour from her face. So did I. Or would have if Lily had given me the chance to say it myself. Zara smiled, leaning slightly into his touch. I've been thinking about something you said that first day at my house, about how my home didn't quite feel like home yet. And it feels more like home when you and Lily are there. She took a deep breath. Vincent, I know our lives are very different. I know my world comes with complications you've never had to think about, but Vincent didn't let her finish. He closed the distance between them, capturing her lips with his. The kiss was gentle at first, then deepened as Zara's arms wound around his neck. When they finally broke apart, both slightly breathless, Lily's voice came from the doorway. I knew it, just like in the movies. They both laughed, and Vincent pulled his daughter into a hug, including Zara in their embrace. For the first time since losing his wife, he felt the pieces of his life shifting back into place differently than before, but whole nonetheless. The integration of their lives wasn't without challenges. Vincent was fiercely independent and initially struggled to accept Zara's generosity, whether it was tickets to Lily's favorite musical or offers to help with his business. I don't need you to fix my life, he told her after a particularly tense discussion about a potential investment in his woodworking business. I'm not trying to fix anything, Zara responded. I'm trying to be your partner. There's a difference between helping and taking over. That conversation marked a turning point. Vincent began to see that accepting Zara's support didn't diminish his role as a provider or a father. It simply meant allowing someone else to share the load. For her part, Zara had to adjust to the practical realities of dating a single father scheduling around Lily's activities, dealing with childhood illnesses that upended plans, and accepting that sometimes family needs had to come first. But the rewards far outweighed the challenges. Zara found in Vincent and Lily the genuine connection she'd been missing, a respite from the often transactional relationships of her business world. Vincent discovered that opening his heart again didn't betray his late wife's memory, but honored her wish for him to find happiness. 6 months after their fishing trip, Vincent completed the last piece of furniture for Zara's home, a hand-carved jewelry box made from the same wood as her bookshelves and dining table. It's beautiful, she said, running her fingers over the intricate pattern he had inlaid on the lid. Open it, he urged. Inside, nestled on a velvet cushion, was a simple but elegant ring, a band of rose gold set with a small diamond. Zara's eyes widened. Vincent, I'm not asking you to marry me, not yet. He took her hands in his, but I am asking you to consider a future with us. I love you, Zara, and I know Lily does too. Tears welled in Zara's eyes. I love you both so much. You've shown me what really matters. Is that a yes to considering it? He asked, his heart full. She nodded, then kissed him deeply. It's a yes to everything. 1 year to the day after Vincent had intervened at the car dealership, he and Zara stood together on the deck of their new home, a compromise between his modest house and her mansion, with plenty of room for Lily to play and for Vincent to set up a proper workshop. Do you ever think about how different our lives would be if Brad the salesman hadn't been so pushy? Zara asked, leaning into Vincent's embrace as they watched Lily chase fireflies in the twilight. I think we would have found each other somehow, Vincent replied. Some things are just meant to be. Even a billionaire and a carpenter, she teased, especially a billionaire and a carpenter. He kissed the top of her head. Though I prefer to think of us as just Zara and Vincent. Daddy, Zara, look how many I caught. Lily called, running toward them with a jar of glowing fireflies. As they bent to admire her catch, Vincent caught Zara's eye over their daughter's head. In her gaze, he saw the same wonder he felt at how helping a stranger escape an aggressive salesman had led him not just to professional success, but to the love of his life. Sometimes, he realized, the greatest wealth came in forms you never expected.